Bill Smallwood.
Okay. So what I'd like to know is, what is the number one thing you don't understand about women?
Communication,
Communication.
the simplicity. Like a woman, like her definition of things, they mean three or four different things.
Okay. Now, this is kind of an interesting question. Do you think it's harder for a man to control his desires or for a woman to control her emotions?
A man to control his desires.
Interesting. Why would you say that?
Because women can put up with a barrage of things, though. They have unconditional love. So where a man screws up like 20 million times, though, um, a lot of times they will shut down and be quiet to control their emotions versus a man is very shallow because he doesn't have, he will not, he will retaliate to a woman because he will sleep with another woman just because his feelings are hurt. Or if he's trying to elevate a new patriarch, he will actually cut them off. Like I'm a professional fighter, and I know what it's like to bring up young ones. I was a college wrestler, and because I didn't know so much about like elevating someone. See, a woman knows that they're going to give life to a child, so they have unconditional love. So they don't have that thing where they'll cut somebody off.
Do you think it's easier for a man to seduce a woman or for a woman to seduce a man?
Woman to seduce the man.
Would that make it easier for a woman to cheat?
Yeah, but they don't.
When someone cheats on their lover, do you typically blame the one who cheats or the one who drove the other one to cheat?
Generally, the woman that cheats because there's promises and different things, though.
Um, like I said, if you don't want to answer any questions, you don't have to. But
By all means.
have you ever lied to a woman in order to get sex from her?
Sure, early in my career, yeah.
Most guys have.
I mean, I go to 12-step meetings. So I go to like stuff like AA, NA, Codependence Anonymous, anger management. So this is being able to take. Maybe it's not me against the other person. That's because that's not winning. What I've learned is I need to work on myself. So being a fighter and growing up with nothing and trying to realize that you need to work on yourself because money doesn't change anybody. In fact, stature and fame and all that stuff, it doesn't change a person. It's what you're working on yourself and different things. So
Why do you think there are so many women who seem to be obsessed with luxury and status?
shallowness, broken. I would say a lot of businesses and nonprofits actually they focus on treating human beings like cattle and with marketing and sales and different things like that. So, in my opinion, that it gives them a choice between instant gratification. So a lot of us are broke. A lot of us are built up through broken relationships. So that's
Do you think that experiencing emotional pain is more likely to make someone stronger or bitter?
it. Just depends. I understand your question though, but it's depending on whether or not, as a young person, that person has a tool. So whether you have a matriarch or a patriarch from that emotional pain, do they have the tool to cope? So like a lot of people grow up with not a mom, not a dad, and they're taught the instant gratification way. Uh, Deal with it now, kind of like get over it, type of thing, and that's not an answer. We're supposed to be sad. You're supposed to cry. You're supposed to have tears fall, and you're supposed to have a time where you're supposed to shut down and be sad about things. You're not supposed to use alcohol. You're not supposed to use drugs to tear that. And even if anybody laughs at you, that's not supposed to be a way either. But that is being in tune with your feelings and things and emotions, though. It's not based around money, though, because you're like, we don't have to work, 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 work. A lot of people get that focus.
I really like what you have to say. Do you have time for one more? Or?
For what kind of one more question?
Yeah, yeah, because I know you're probably on your way somewhere.
Go ahead.
Um, what are the characteristics of a gentleman?
A gentleman? I'd say this. When a woman is listening to a man, and if he always puts himself first, he says, my mom and I. or I'm sorry, me and my mom, me and my sister, me and such and such. That's a very selfish and self-centered asshole. Um, like take for instance though, I have an ex-girlfriend as in recent, but here's the thing, I won't speak badly about her because I'm working on myself. For guys like me, you're trying to say that a woman generally focuses on a lot of fashion. My girl ex-girlfriend was a fashion designer, and I learned that they really dress up a lot for us. They put on a lot of makeup, and they do a presentation for us though. But a lot of the heels and different things like that, they're very uncomfortable. So I always like, before I park, I always dump her off like very close to, the door. I always think of things like that. If she's dropping in on a flight, I know she likes a particular coffee. I pay attention to that kind of coffee. And here's the thing, she likes iced coffee, and I know it's going to be 45 minutes, so I actually pick up the type of coffee she likes, and I leave the ice out of it. I leave it separate. So whenever I get there, it's just little details. You study each other. You try to figure out how you can be a team, not how somebody is more famous or whatever. You're trying to figure out how you can be more marketable to each other, because honestly, like, she's an international fashion designer and I'm a professional fighter. But I know the difference when I'm around people and people are around me. So you learn how to tone down a lot of that ego, and you try to figure out, kind of like fighting, how can you conquer yourself? It's not about fighting the other person, it's about conquering yourself. So if you want to get in the same sandbox as somebody, can you play nicely? That's the thing. And if you can't, go work on yourself. Because here's the thing, what I've learned for me, you don't have to, somebody can be a Christian, somebody can be a Muslim, they can all date and all that. But when you become shallow and you're using instant gratification, and that person, they can't, another person cannot make you happy. They can't make you happy at all. That's a deal between you and your creator, however inadequate. So if your creator just has to be bigger than you, so everybody has a different spiritual creator. But you have to learn, from what I learned is this. Here's how, and I'm native, I'm from a traditional tribe. What I learned is this. When people speak about God, they always say he. That's how you can tell men have been dealing with religion. You have to have that balance. All I know is this, is that the characteristics of some of my creator is a creator. A creator creates. That's a matriarch quality. Men don't create life at all. The other one is unconditional love. Unconditional love is a matriarch quality. That's why a woman knows deep down in her body that she's going to feed this child that is going to bite the hand that feeds them. And what I learned is that they don't cut them off. They may have to love them from a distance, but it's kind of like a catch and release stream where they reel them back in, and they have to love, and they have to teach them a new tool until they screw up again and they bite the hand that feeds them. And then they have to cast them out and kind of let them, love them from a distance, but they'll always. That's why you've seen even serial killers, their mothers still love them. And that's what people don't understand. I'm not saying God's a she. I'm saying that it's a balance between both. And Native people, they respect the patriarch side, but they also welcome. They don't cast away that matriarch side. It's a balance between that.
Well, one thing I must have to ask you is, do you think it's harder to raise a child or to birth a child?
Raise, definitely. That's definitely.
So then, shouldn't single dads be valued just the same way that single moms are?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And
Respect.
also, I'm sorry, you have some really profound things to say, so I just had to ask you a couple of things.
I'm just speaking in a medicine way. That's just kind of.
But also, have you ever heard of the idea of a mama's boy? Like, what is the difference between a boy who loves his mother and just a mama's boy?
A mama's boy is somebody where they enable them. So a mother can cripple a child by, like, saying, where a normal mother, I don't want to say a normal mother, but a mother needs to teach a person, kind of love them from a distance. It's like they need to show them how to walk, versus where a mother is too overbearing, because that's not loving. Overbearing by saying, oh, baby, you don't need to walk though. And then they literally cripple that child from walking because they're like, they don't want them to do it on their own. And it's like they constantly give them a walker, or they constantly give them a scooter. That's enabling, and that's crippling someone because they're teaching them not to have any skills of, because sooner or later, it's kind of like they say, like hurricanes. Not every storm. Some of them are tropical storms. Some of them just a thunderstorm. Sometimes it's a Category 1. Sometimes it's a Category 5. And they have to be able to teach them different things, you know? They have to be able to teach them different things that are based on, because sooner or later a storm, a wind gust, or whatever, some of those storms are going to come in life. Those spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional storms are going to come. So those are all things that we deal with in life, though, and how we keep our balance amongst them. From what I hope that helps.